All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's class. Right. So, I want to talk today about JSON Web Token and authentication and how dependencies are used for authentication in Fast API. All right. So, um, first, let me talk about what JWT is. Right. So, JWT means JSON Web Token, and is a standard that is used to create tokens that are used for authorization, or authentication, and even authorization. Okay, so um, we will really see how JSON web tokens are formed, how they are used um, at the end of the day. But just to create an analogy with real life, JWT is more like a passport. If you are, let's say, an ID card. So if you say you're a staff of an organization, you should at least have an ID card to show that you're a staff of that organization. Then that will allow you to enter some certain places that only staff can enter. Okay. So that's how JWT is a token, right? And it's a token that the back end issues to the front end and tell the front end, look, anytime you want to use, or not really that the backend tells the front end. After the backend issues the JWT to the front end, it's left for the front end to use that JWT with any subsequent request it will be making to routes that are being protected. Now, routes that are being protected in this case are routes that require that you have to be logged in. Okay, so that's the main use of JSON Web Token. Okay, now they use concept of authentication, and then authentication really means to know if something is authentic. Okay, so if you say you're a user, I don't really need to know you're authentic. You're a user. That won't concern me. But if you are a staff, right, of an organization, I can't really just trust that you're a staff because you told me you're a staff. You have to show me an evidence for me to be able to know that you're authentic. Okay, so that's where the word authentication is coming from. So a staff role is a critical role, an admin role is a critical role. So there has to be something to show that you are the person that you claim to be. So you have to prove your authenticity. Okay. Now the JWT is one of the JWT strategy when you're doing authentication is one of the ways to prove how authentic you are to the back end, or if you're authentic to the back end. Okay. Then when we talk about dependencies in Python, so a dependency is mainly used to intercept a request that is coming from the client and check for details of that request. Maybe use it to check if the person is authentic, that the person is who they claim they are. It can be used for authorization. Authorization is like, okay, you know you're a staff, but are you allowed to call this route as a staff? There are some routes that might be restricted to only admins, for example. So route, I mean like controller, or like the function you call, it might be restricted to a particular, user type. So maybe if a route was restricted to be only called by a super admin and an admin, and then you have a staff role, even if you're authenticated as a staff, you will not be authorized to make a request to that particular controller and be returned, right, with an error. So that error could be unauthorized, could be a forbidden error, right? So that forbidden error is to say you're not allowed to take this action you want to take. Okay, right? So we are going to write we're going to write or work with JWT, right? Let's just see how that works. So, which means I'll need to reshare my screen. I'll need to reshare my screen. Okay, so okay, so everyone, sorry about that. I just reshared my screen. I hope you guys can see my um. I hope you guys can see my code. Okay, so uh, let's continue. I think I remembered something. Actually, uh, I didn't use load env. Yeah, I don't know if I used it here. Okay, so sorry about that. Let's do this. So let's actually load our .env. So if we want to load now, remember that we had previously we had an issue with trying to load this database URL. So let us actually solve that issue today. So say pip pip install, then would say .env. Python okay, I think I already installed it, so it's already satisfied. So implies is a library that enables us load environment variables on our PC, or load environment variables on the files that we are working with. Okay, so now for us to load our environment variables, we are now going to write here for our database, we would then write from .env import load.env. Then all we need to do is we just need to load.env. So we just call load.env since it's a function there. Now, after calling it, the next thing we just need to do is we'll say os.getEnv. Sorry, os.getEnv, and we can remove this other part. Okay. So calling os.env like this is going to allow us to load it, although this is saying it's none. So I'll just say this should be a string. Don't mind me. So, but it's going to work actually, even if you don't try to do anything there. I know it's trying to say it's going to either be a string or none. So, but let's leave it that way. Now, we need to install what we are going to use for our JWT. By the way, let's actually go to our browser and find out how JWT actually really works, right? So let's go there. I'll use this to give more explanation. Don't mind what you see on my screen. It was from the class before I joined. Yeah. Okay, so I would say JSON web token. I'll press enter. The first thing you see is JSON web token, JSON web token.io. Now, this is what a JSON web token looks like. It looks something as like this. Don't know if I've done this before. It looks so. This is how a JSON web token looks. And then a JSON web token has three parts. The first part is this part, which is the header part, right? Now this header part, what you're seeing here is the should I say the encrypted version of this payload you're seeing here. So this part, this first part, right, contains the algorithm that was being used to hash or to make this JWT, and the type of token that you're trying to make, which is a JWT token, right? Basically, a JWT contains three parts. So this first part, this second part, and the last part. So this is the header part. This middle part is the signed, the payload. Sorry, this is the payload. While this third part is the signed part. Now, three of these three parts are separated by dots or period. So you have a period here, you have another period there. So this part, right, has to do with this payload part, right? So now this payload part is totally up to you, how you want to do it, what you want to put in it. So even if you want to put a full JSON object inside here, it's up to you. But then the important part of this JSON, of this payload, is this sub, right, and IAT, and it has to be supplied, right? Well, even if you don't supply it, it will still work. So this sub has to do with the subject. The subject is who is the ID of the person that owns the details you want to put in here. So for example, if John Doe was saved on your database, then the name you put here is John Doe. If you want to put John Doe's email, you put John Doe's email. The next thing you now have to put is the ID of John Doe on your database. You need to put that ID here, right? So that when during subsequent requests, when this JWT is being supplied, what you just need to do is pick out the details you need, like the sub, exactly, the sub from it, and then use that sub to know who the person is. Or if you want to query or know the person that made that request, you just use this sub to, check who actually made the request. Now, the last part and the third part of this is the secret key or the secret, right? Now, this secret is used to when you are trying to verify if a token was created by a particular key. So let's say that I use this long string here like this to create this token, and I now change maybe even a word in this. Let's say I change a word in this token. Once I change the word in this token, if this same JWT token is supplied to me later on, this secret will not be able to verify it. Like the secret will not be able to the secret will not match this third part, which is the encrypted version of this secret. Okay. Now, for front enders, you can view the payload of a JSON web token without having this key. It's normal, you can do it. But as a back ender, you can do the same thing, but it's not advisable. You have to first verify if the key is what you have on your back end. Okay. Now, remember when I talked about authentication, when I talked about encryption, decryption, right? So it has to do with, when you're passing information to someone, you encrypt it, you give the person, you also give, like, if it's a symmetric encryption, right? You encrypt information, you give the person that encrypted information, you give the person the key to decrypt it, and the person uses the same key that used to encrypt to decrypt it. Nice. But now, in terms of this JSON web token, what happens is the back end encrypts the key. The back end creates the JSON web token. The back end sends the JSON web token to the person that needs it. Now, when the person is making a request, the person needs to include that token in his request. Okay. Now that's for request that requires that you have to be logged in. The person is going to include that JWT and make that request. When that request comes to the back end uses the key it used to create that key to verify if that key was being created by, or to verify if that token was being created by the same key. So if the keys don't match, it's not going to be able to verify it. If the keys match, it will verify that yes, this token was created by this particular key. Then from there, everything can go on smoothly. Okay. So now you can actually edit this. So if we maybe remove now see as I'm even okay. I don't even know how to do this. Like if I change this and press okay, so it doesn't actually change. Okay, saying signature verification failed. Now that's because this JWT here now, right? And the key cannot be used to decode this JWT again because it's not they don't match. So maybe I don't know what was there before, so can't even remember. Okay, but that's actually the way JWT works. Okay, so a string with at least, but I think it was at least 5 characters long. I can't even remember. Okay, but then so you have the decoder, you have the encoder. So the encoder, this is where you create your JWT. Okay, so you can decide what to change. Please give me a minute. Okay. So I'm back here. So we can actually just maybe do something here. We could say this, I think we can see the changes as I put it. So if I say, um, uh, maybe email, you see as I'm typing, it's changing, it's generating it. So I could say john@do.com. Okay. So, and then of course, now, one thing you should know about this JWT keys, when you're writing your own code in whether you're in development or you're in production, make sure your JWT secret is not something that someone can guess, can take a wild guess. Okay, for example, if I know that the JSON web token for your this thing um for your platform is a string secret at least, I know that this is your JSON web token, and I know that this is the algorithm you're using. I can actually create token for myself and use it to log in on your platform, and it should work. It would work because the secret here is the same with the secret you have. So this secret should always be something that is not guessable. Sometimes, like, you can just put in random characters like that. Put in random characters. Okay, those winners and put in random characters. Whether it is, yeah, it is actually changing the sign part. If you notice, so it ends at FE now. Let me change something. Let me maybe um SV. You see that it has changed also, right? So this algorithm part, it depends on you. If you want to use a different algorithm, fine, fine, fine. Now, if I want to decode this same JWT, let me just copy the key. Can come back here, right? Okay, so it's already here, everything. So this is it being decoded, you know. If even a word here is not the same, it is going to show invalid signature, which means it cannot, although it's showing you this payload, but the signatures are not the same, so it cannot verify it, except I take it back. You now see valid secret, signature verified, which means this is this is the key that was used to create this token, and the key is also being used to decode what is being created here. So I hope that is something everybody understands. Now, there are several libraries for JWT. Now, if you come to libraries, you should see a lot, right, based on your language. So I think I should filter by in Python. So there are plenty of them. So, and they show you what they can actually do. So there's Python Jules, there's Python, this Jose, the Python Jules, Python, what, there's PyJWT, there's also Hotlip, okay? So depending, but the more popular one people use is Jules, Python Jules, okay? So Python Jules is more popular. This you can even see the person that actually created. You can go to their repository. Let's just copy this already, right? Then you can actually see how, I think this is where it will lead us to the documentation exactly being used. So if you tell you this is how you install it, and then you use it. So this is how you encode. You encode a key value with your secret and then your algorithm, and then this is when you want to decode. JWT.decode, you write the token, your secret, and then the algorithm. There's also okay, is encode. I think this also verify. I'm not really sure. Let's check here. So they said there is sign, there is verify. Okay. I don't know if verify is called decode here, but you're actually going to see how that works. Because some actually has sign, they have verify, and then they have decode. Okay, okay, yeah. So let me explain why. Well, decoding is usually different from verifying. From my experience with using JWT with Node.js. Okay, so decoding doesn't really require a secret, but verifying requires a secret. Okay. One thing I forgot or I didn't mention with JWT is that if you're trying to decode, especially if you're using JavaScript, you can actually read this part. You see that even when the the signature is not correct, right? Even when the signature is not correct, this part is still readable. It's very, very readable, except if I now maybe, so once I start changing things from this part, that is when it will become deformed. Okay, but once everything is okay, that part is readable. So I think here is just the that was missing. So as far as this part is concerned, it is always readable, whether it is your front end that is reading this JWT or the back end is always readable. But the reason why you have this part is for you to verify if it was your back end that actually gave that JSON web token. Okay. So I think I've been able to explain that. Let's come back here. So let's come back to our Python. So I'll just paste what I copied there, which is Python or pip install juice. Okay. So juice, right? Okay. So juice has been installed, and I want to use juice here, right? So I want to use juice here. Now, juice. Yeah, now let me explain. You want to create a JSON web token when your user is logging in. When your user is logging in, that is when you create a JSON web token for them. Then, when they are trying to make a call to a protected route, that is where, when they're making that call, you put a dependency that verifies what they are trying to do. Okay? So that's basically how it works. Basically how it works. So so let's go on. We'll just we'll come here. Where is this? Okay, service. Then we'll come to user service. Okay. So in user service, we'll import Juice. Sorry. Um, import. No, I not import Juice from import. Once we do that, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to come here and say when we are trying to log in user. So instead of after checking if passwords match, so we can say if passwords match is equals to false, right? So if the passwords don't match, we can throw well, we can return an error object. We can say that the message here is no, invalid credentials. Invalid credentials, right? But then if the passwords match, right? If the passwords match, then what we then have to do is we then have to say token should be equals to JWT dot so we have dot encode, right? Now the encoding is going to be what you got from the user, right? So what did we have from the user? We create, or we have, I think we have email, we have the user's ID. So let's see. So I'd say sub should be result, sorry, should be result dot This should give me recommendations. Results.id, which is the ID of that user. Email should be results.email. What else am I supposed to put there? So, well, let's just work with the ID or the ID and the email for now, right? So, now another thing we need to pass in is the token and the hash. So, we'll come here, would say auth_token should be equals to a very random long character that we don't even understand. Nobody can actually guess this thing in the world now. Nobody can guess it and get it right. How will they even start? So we know that it's auth token we are looking for. So in this user's part, we'll then come and say someone trying to speak.
Yes, sir. It's like you are very, very fast. I'm not able to catch up.
Okay.
Apart from that, sir, you are not audible enough. Not that we are not hearing you, but it's not audible. And rain is falling.
Okay. All right. So, is it more audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd say so I'm sorry, someone said they are not following. So let's actually help that person out. Um, where do I start from again? Where do I where do I start from? I don't know. Where did you miss out on?
After you install the JWT,
Okay, so after I installed the JWT, what I simply did was um I came to the service folder. So inside our user.py, which is where we have the user, I came in there and what I just did was I rewrote this part. So after comparing the password, previously we just returned what this gave us, which was either true if the password match, and false if the passwords did not match. So uh, formally it was just like this. We just returned passwords match. This was what was there before. So what I just oh sorry, what I just did was I removed this part, which is returning if the passwords match or not. I removed that part, and then this was what I started, writing. Okay, so okay, even see it here. So, but instead of returning passwords match, I'll return something different, right? I don't know if you're following.
but you return a message that is saying invalid credentials.
Yeah, so this invalid credential is used to check if if the passwords do not match now, this compare password is going to check if the two passwords match. If the two password match, it's going to return true. If the two passwords don't match, it's going to return false. So I'm saying if it is true that the passwords do not match, that is, if passwords match is equals to false, which means the two passwords do not match, then we would return something. Do you understand it now?
Yeah. I get that side now.
Please, me, I have a question, please.
Okay.
Okay, you said something that we return JWT during login, but there are some
Yeah.
applications like maybe when I'm consuming the API on the sign up, they also return JWT. Like,
Yes.
what's the
Yes. Actually, that is also allowed. Actually, that's also allowed. Um, So most most applications, right? Once you're able to sign, once you're able to sign up, after sign up, they don't take you to log in. They just return the token for you after signing up. So you use the token to start using the platform. So that is also allowed. Okay, that is also allowed. But the reason that is not allowed most times is that for some people they might not want users that have not verified their email to log in or something like that. So if you don't want people that have not verified their email, for example, to be able to log in, and once they finish creating their accounts, they have to verify their email. So even if they try to log in, without verifying their email, you might tell them that their email has not been verified yet or something. But then some websites are not strict on that. Some websites are relaxed on that, which means even when you create an account, you can log in even if you have not verified your email. But maybe there are some things that will be restricted while you're logged in till you verify your email. After verifying your email, those things can now start working. So it depends on what the company actually wants, or yeah, what whoever you're working with actually wants. Okay. So what we did here. Now, if we returned this we returned this, it's going to return a 200, but it's going to tell them invalid credentials. But that's not actually what we want. We don't want to tell the user 200 when what actually happened was maybe a 403, maybe a 401 or a 403. And 401 is unauthorized, 403 is forbidden. So let us return it more appropriately. So we have come here, instead of returning this, I'll say this should raise an HTTP exception. So the HTTP exception with the status code of maybe 403, and then the detail Yeah, the detail is going to be invalid credentials. So now this secret here, I need to load env. So I'll say from .env import load env, right? Then I'm going to just call load env at the top here. Then I need to also import OS. So I'll say import OS. So I could say this should be equals to os.get what's the name of that thing? I think get en you get env. Yeah, get env. Get env. Okay. So the name of that env would be auth token. So auth token, remember this what I've written here, which is auth token, has to exactly match what I have here. If not, it will not work. I hope we understand. Auth token, the same way database URL I wrote here is the same way I wrote database URL inside here. If you don't write it the same way, it will not work. Now, we have the secret there. What we then need to do is we'll then say comma. Then the next thing we are going to write here is, I think if I say secret. Okay, yeah. So secret is going to be there. So it's going to be SEC secret. Then we can say that the algorithm should be HS256, right? So what another thing I was supposed to do here is, what if result doesn't exist? So if result if result is equals to none, okay. So sorry. So if result is none, so we should be able to raise another HTTP exception. So we are supposed to be able to tell the user we should return a status code of 404. Then the detail should be you're not logged in. You're not logged in. Oh, sorry. Yes, I say you're not logged in. No user found. But it's true that you're not logged in, Sha, but at this point you're looking for the user. So if there is no user, you'd say user not found. Okay, so what we then need to return here, we can return an object. We can say message here. Message should be logged in. Oh, sorry. Yeah, logged in successfully. And then the token here would be token we just created. Okay. So let's see that in action. Let's see that in action. So let's run this. And
Okay, please, while we are running it, I want to ask a question, please.
yeah, okay, ask your question.
In the os.getEnv, I don't know whether I missed it or something. That auth token, the token that was passed to that auth variable, please, where did we get it? And is it that one token that we'll use and be verifying everybody?
Yes, is that one token you use to sign and verify anything that has to do with JWT. Then this auth token here is gotten from your ENV. So see it here, auth token, then the value. The same way
Yes,
database.
I get that particular value now, those gibberish that is there.
Yes,
Where did we get it, like, exactly?
we did not get
Is
it
it
from here. I
our
just
website?
typed something. I typed something random, totally random. Now this auth token, this key here is up to you. I can make it longer. Actually, I can decide to make it longer. It's supposed to be very random that people should not be able to guess it. I hope you understand.
Okay, something that I'll type by myself.
Yes,
Okay, okay. So in production, we'll still type anything also.
yes, exactly. There's no particular key. It's up to you.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So, okay.
Mendoza, is it that the auth token, all of them will have to be in small letter, or it can be a mixture of both small and capital letters?
That's up to you totally. You can make it a mixture of capital and small letters. You can make it a mixture of letters and numbers. It's totally up to you actually. But one thing is that you shouldn't have gap. I've not the token. This auth token shouldn't have gap. It shouldn't. I don't think it also accepts special characters. It should just be alphanumeric. So should be alphanumeric. I don't think you can, or you're allowed to use special characters. You're not also allowed to use space. Just it's to be alphanumeric.
But sir, must it be a long like that? What if it is short?
Yeah, so it can actually be short, right? But the shorter it is, the higher the possibility of someone guessing it also, right? So me, I like my own very long shower. If you don't want your own to be long, right? You can actually use it short like that. Okay, so I'm running into some few errors. It's saying what? So here too, I loaded .env. So let's see. So I think it is having issues. It's still having issues with the same engine create database your echo is
I think that it
true.
didn't import the OS. Okay, import OS.
You say?
I was thinking maybe he didn't import OS, but I can see that he imported OS. The question is that, but the last time, this what are they calling it? The ENV file wasn't working.
Yes, that was because I didn't use this load env. So okay, I didn't save. Oh, so I didn't save this file. I think that's the reason why it actually malfunctioned. Oh, okay. So it's still having the same issue. It's still having the same issue with um mm, so um
Is there a way that we can test whether the ENV is seeing the project is seeing the ENV file?
yeah, the simplest way is to print the database URL, right? Once you do that, it should show the database URL at least somewhere. See, so it's showing the database URL. See it here, Postgres, SQL Server, and it's showing everything as you
Oh,
can see. So, which means it's actually seeing the database URL. So I
mhm.
I still don't get why it is.
Can you check again what create engine is expecting or something? Because if it's
Hmm?
printing it out, like, can you offer on create engine and be sure of what it's expecting?
Yeah, it's
Incompatible type.
create engine. Yeah, so okay, it's expecting a string, right? But it's getting a string or a none. So I don't know. I I don't think I can give it a type here. I don't think that's allowed, right? I don't think that's allowed.
But when you did database URL inside there, it worked. Can we pass the os.getEnv inside that place? Will it work?
It's still the same. Like the problem is that it is getting a string or a none as the type, but it's expecting a string only, not a string or none.
String or URL?
So I don't know. I think I should just check if oh, if database URL is equals to none. So then we want to throw okay, raise an error. So I think this would be an so we have different types. What will I say? Should I say it's a syntax error? Um, maybe it's an assertion error. So Maybe I could just, but it's still not actually giving it's supposed to give. Let me just leave it like that and run it. Oh, it's saying dialect. Okay, so let
And
me do
remember
this.
last time the name was Postgres. There was a T missing. I don't know if that's what is disturbing it.
Oh, post. Okay,
Yes,
true.
yes, because see
Ah,
down here, dialects, Postgres SQL.
oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ah, that was the issue actually. Ah, that was the issue. I didn't even need to write all this myself.
It's part of debugging.
Thank you very much. Hey,
Yes,
who did that? Who answered?
it's Ginika.
Hmm. One bottle of Coke for you.
Thank you.
All right, okay, so um it has loaded up, right? It has loaded up, and let's test this user's part, right? Let's test it. So we will try to log in. Personally, I can't remember what I used to sign up, but let's try and log in and see what is going to happen. I think this is running on a default port. Uh, I'll just copy this. So let's go to our browser actually. Go to our browser. Uh,
Hello? Hello, sir. Yeah, good evening. I'm fine, sir.
so we are finally here.
Okay.
Let us
No
paste
problem.
that and Ms.
No
Pekelet,
problem. Sir.
you need to mute your mic.
Hey, sorry about
Kindly
that.
mute your mic. Okay, so we are finally here. Let me try if I can remember. Um, so if this is if it is v@v.com, with that password there, yeah. So I'm not even sure I actually used anything like that. This one is showing in internal server error. Oh, okay. So let's come back. Let's come back. This is actually a little bit of an issue. Let me show you guys something. So let's come back here when we are trying to log in. Let's check. Okay. That user that I just tried, his password is in binary, which means the sort or the password is not going to be able to compare. So which means I need to create a new user. Yeah, just remember that. So let me go ahead and create a new user. So I just come here to register. The email is going to be junior@gmail.com. Password Victor. Full name Victor. So I've been able to register with this cute little password. So let me try to log in now. So logging in, this would be ukokjunior@gmail.com. The password will be Victor. So let me execute. So now you see we have one very cute little sweet authentication token that we can be using now, right? So now we just need to use this authentication token to prove who we are, but there is no place for us to actually put in the token, right? So how do we even prove who we are if we want to maybe we want to query another route that will need this token from us? Okay, so let's go back to our VS Code and then let's try to finish up. Okay, so we are finally here, right? Now what we will do is we are going to come and say from fast API.security want to import OAuth2 password bearer. So we will import OAuth2 password bearer. Then what we are saying that OAuth2 skin OAuth2 skin is equals to OAuth password bearer. Then inside here we'll just say that the token URL should be / maybe auth / token. I don't even think, let's just remove this one for now. I don't think we will even need it for now. We have that, right? Let's save it. Okay, so what it's saying is missing token URL. Okay, so it's actually required. Okay, so we've included that particular token URL. So then the next thing is we want to actually authenticate our user. Okay, so this is how we are going to do it. Now we are going to authenticate our user in the route that we want to restrict. You know, that route, okay, no, it's not anybody that can just call it or use that particular route as they want to use. So this is how we will do it. We'll say we'll go to let me see, should we do it on, maybe we should do it on the other route. So we'll come to this other route. Then what we'll say here is we'll say score user. This annotated is going to come from typing. Okay, so would say from typing import annotated So say from annotated, and then what we will do is we would put should this user be a type of so let me just say, let me import user from here. So I'd say from model dot users import user. So I'd say the person who should be a type of user, then the person should depend. So I think depending would come from here. So yeah, depends. So this would be depends. Okay, so depends is more like a function. Now this is depends I was talking about, right? Now this depends has to do with it's more like if this was JavaScript, we would call it a guard. Now what depends does is that depends intercepts the request you're sending to this particular route, maybe like to the others route, to the get for others route. It intercepts that request, it checks, does the necessary check. If you return a value, then that value will be returned as current user. If you don't return um, if you don't return a value, maybe you throw an exception, then that exception will be what will be returned back to who called it. And we've used this depend before. So if we come back to user service, this session, so we said session is a type of session. In fact, I don't even think we need that annotate self. We don't need it. So we can say, we can come back here and say user should be a type of user, should be a type of user, right? And then should be equals to depends. This is also going to work out, right? This is also going to work out. We don't really need that annotate. So now what we are going to pass here, it is the function that should be called that will intercept that request. Okay. So that function can be written anywhere, anywhere. Maybe we can have maybe an authorization file folder. We can have an authorization folder. Then inside the authorization folder, we can have a file called maybe get current user. Get current user .py. So inside this get current user, we can have we can just now this get current user I want to write here. This function is going to extract the user's detail from the JWT and then return it so that we can know who is actually making the request at the end of the day. So what we are going to pass here is we are going to pass the token, which is a string, and then that token will also depend on something. So we would say import, okay, from fast API import depends. So this is going to depend on OAuth 2. Okay, and where did I write that OAuth 2? I think I wrote it here. Okay, so I will need this OAuth 2 in the other file rather than in this file. So I'll just copy it. Just copy it and paste here. Then I'll also copy this, or cut it, sorry. And then I'll paste at this top. So this bearer password is just mainly used to, extract the password from, or extract the token from the request that is being sent. So this will depend on OAuth 2 scheme, which is this OAuth 2 scheme. Okay. So then what we can then do is we can say inside here that the payload, or first, before we even say the payload, we can say if there is no token. So if token should be equals to none, then we want to raise an HTTP exception. So I'd say HTTP exception there. So they would raise an HTTP exception to tell the user that so the status code is going to be 44. So then the detail is going to be no token found or no token supplied, anyone found or supplied. Then we would say that the payload should be equals to, so from here again say from Joe's import JWT. So I'll say from payload, payload should equals to JWT.decode. Then the code will accept the token. Then it is going to also accept the secret. But then remember that the secret is loaded from .env. So I'd say from .env import load env. Then I'll just call it. So I'd say load env here, right? So this would load the env. Then in here, I would say that the secret should be equals to, so I need to also import OS. So I'll say import OS. Then so I'll say OS dot get env. Then what do I want to import? So this would be auth token. So I'll just copy it. I'll paste here. So just have an if here to if secret is equals to none, secret cannot equals to none. So I just because why would you have a, well, maybe you deployed your platform but you did not put, it can happen. Or Okay, so I'll say if this is equals to, if that is equals to none, then we want to raise another HTTP exception. We would say the status here is maybe not 400, maybe a 500 because this is internal stuff, right? So we would say the details should be invalid token, or missing secret. So we could do that. So we're also supposed to pass the secret here. Then if I set algorithms, algorithm would be HS256. I think that's the same we used here, if I'm not mistaken. HS256. Right, HS256, cool. So this payload will be what we actually hashed here, or what we actually created here. So it's supposed to contain the person's ID, which will be this SUB. This SUB here means subject, while then the email is the normal email. So we'll come here, we'll say the same thing, and then this payload will be that value. So if everything goes well and there is no challenge, we should return the payload. So the payload is actually the actual user, that particular user. So we should be able to return that payload. Then here, what we will do is we would call we'll say from authorization dot get current user import get current user, which is what we wrote inside here. So we will then say that this get order list depends on get current user. Okay. Now let's go over to our okay, so before I do that, I'll just print current user here. I'll just print current user. So, and maybe I'll just I'll do that. Just the current user. So we can see the current user. Okay. So let's go back to our browser.
Please,
Yeah,
I
let's
have
go back to our okay, ask.
that's in the authorization DO2 bearer. That part,
Yeah,
where is that part exactly?
which part?
In the O2 bearer, when you were declaring is it secret or something? I don't know, I've forgotten. In the code,
Mm-hmm.
you wrote
I don't get the question you're asking.
post auth slash token. Please, can you go back to the code?
Okay, let me go back. Oh,
Yeah, in the is it get current user, the other place inside authorization?
okay, this stuff. Okay, yeah. So this is where you're to send this route is where you're to send um, the username and password to to form the JWT.
Okay, we have that route already written.
No, I don't think we have that route written. No, we don't have this part written. I think that's supposed to be that should be mistake. If you want it to be that, that will be this user route. So it will be /users /login. But I think so. The reason I haven't put something random is I don't even think I'm going to use that.
So won't it throw an error?
Hmm. Okay, that's true. Um, so this is the thing, right? I'm actually seeing. Let's come to the browser. Let me show you something. I'm actually seeing this, right? So I think internally, there's where the username and password is being created. Okay. I think this is where I need to put in the username and password. Let's just try it first. I'm not really sure of this part, but it should work out definitely. So we are going to put in the username and password here. So say hookupjunior@gmail.com. This password is going to be Victor. Then we'll try to authorize. Okay, so yeah, it's saying not found. So which means, oh yeah, you're correct. So which means that has to be where I can send in the username and password. So let's come back here and check. Okay. Oh. So let me check something. Let me see if there's a different way to do this.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay, when I use something like this on the front end, I don't know if it will help anyway. They'll ask me, I'll first and log in, get my token, then they'll ask me to that place that this swagger just opened, they'll ask me to impute, maybe if the person use only token, you put that token and log in. If the person say the username and password, you use that username and password that use and log in. So I don't think what you did is wrong. Maybe it's not seeing this auth/token route. That's why I ask you where is the route, because I can't remember I was doing auth/token.
Okay.
It's saying 404 on the terminal. I don't know anyway. I just thought in case it will help.
Okay, wait, that I think there is a place. This is not what I was supposed to do. Um, so first, it's supposed to be the security scheme. I don't know if I call it OT scheme, but anyhow, sex scheme. I'll just call it sex scheme. Should be an HTTP bearer scheme. HTTP bearer, not what I'm using. So this would be an HTTP bearer. So I'll use that there. Then instead of having this, I'll have an HTTP authorization credential, and then that will be the type here. So this now, what will happen is that this token will have two parts. So if we say the token itself, maybe I'll just call this value. I'll just say, so the token is going to be equals to value dot credentials. While this part, the scheme is going to be equals to value dot scheme. I'll explain what I'm trying to do. So now the scheme here is, okay, something. When you put in your bearer token, what will happen is this is what it will be. The token would now be equals to something like this: bearer, then the token, this dot 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 something dot something. Now this bearer here is the scheme, which is the bearer token, while this value dot credentials here is this other part. This other part. So what I was trying to do before was I was trying to do basic authorization, but I was mixing it up, sorry. I was trying to do basic with bearer at the same time. So that's why it was even asking me of my username, but it was asking me of my username to create the token, right? Meanwhile, I'm the one trying to create the token in login. So that's where I made the mistake. So mostly at this point, you want to check if writing JavaScript here, if secondary scheme, if the not sex scheme, maybe I should just call this scheme. So I'll say if the scheme is equals to maybe if the scheme dot lower equals to bearer, or if it's not equals to bearer, if it's not equals to bearer, then we should raise an HTTP exception to the HTTP exception that is going to tell the users a status code of 400 because it is the user's fault. So, and then the detail should be no invalid scheme. Invalid scheme. So what is it trying to say now? What is it trying to say now? Maybe I should say so invalid syntax. What is invalid in this syntax that I wrote? I think it's my okay. Am I in JavaScript? Am I supposed to say not? I think it is not I'm supposed to use here, right? Why am I having this mistake? Anyways, let me just, I don't know. Let me just run this first. I'll come back to that. I don't know if this, maybe I'm not writing something well there. Okay, so let's continue, right? Uh, so let's go back to our browser and let's see the magic. Okay, so we are here. I refreshed actually. Sorry about that. So I don't know. Let me refresh again. So now you see something different. When I click authorize, it only asks me for the bearer, the HTTP bearer. It's not asking for the username, password, client ID, client, whatever. It's not asking for all these things. It's just asking simply for the bearer token. So which means I can just come here and log in. So I'll say bookofjunior@gmail.com. Here, Victor. Then let me copy that. Let me paste it here first. So I can remove this part. I can remove that part. So then when you're pasting it here, please don't go and add bearer. I'll be bearer, and then you paste your token. Just paste the token alone and click authorize. So that's all. Once you do that, and then you come back here, and now you notice that there is a padlock symbol here already. And that padlock symbol is as a result of this padlock here is as a result of the dependency that I added to this particular controller, or to the route of this particular controller, or to the controller for this particular route, sorry. So if I come here and I try to make this request now, okay, it tells me internal server error, so which means they must be um there must be an issue somewhere. So let's come back to trace that issue. Let's come back to trace that issue. So what is it saying? It's saying that the claim subject must be a string. So in HTTP, so subject must be a string. So which means this is coming from the middleware actually. This is coming from the middleware. But this is correct now. So if I say print token, so I'd say token here, token, then print scheme. Let me just make that request again. So let me see what happens. So we have yet another challenge. We have yet another challenge. So let me check here also. So we are dealing with orders, right? We are saying user get current user. We've not really changed anything here. So the problem is from here. So let's look at it first. We are calling the bearer scheme. Nice, fine. Then we are saying get current user should be an authorization credential that we are getting out from here, right? So let me also do this before checking each. I'll say that the value here should be value. So what is it saying? It's saying that the subject must be a string. So what is the subject? So let's see. Okay, JWT string is okay. So maybe I'm supposed to say that secret. Let me see if that is going to work out. Okay, so it's saying the code got an unexpected argument. So this should be, let me try access token because I'm sure that's where the problem is coming from. Okay, so it's missing one positional argument, which is the key. So let's see key. So I have to get this right. I have to get this right. Let me refresh my browser. Okay, so guys, I don't know why this is happening, but okay, okay, all right. So I think I've seen the issue. I've seen the issue actually. Um, so what it's saying subject must be a string, right? Now, this is the problem. Um, this is the problem actually from it's saying subject must be the string. Now, remember what I said about, now let's come back to the service. This result.id. Now, this is where the problem is. The subject is not a string. So it actually picked the subject. The subject is an integer. because that's what the database uses. The database is or the IDs are integers. So what I was supposed to do was, while trying to create a token, I was supposed to convert this to string. So since I didn't convert it to string, of course it's saved, but when I was trying to decode it, since the subject was not a string, it now started throwing an error. Well, if you contribute to open source, you could actually go to the GitHub repository and then add that line of code to check if the subject is a string. And if it's not a string, you should try an exception. So we will not go into this this issue of already getting the JWT, and then it is when when we want to verify or decode, that's when we now discover that we are supposed to use a string here. So open source people, over to you. So which means since I've solved that issue now, all I need to do is come back here and try again. So I'll come back here. I need to log in again with that user, so that I can get a new JWT. So I'd say hookupjunior@gmail.com. This is going to be Victor. Then I would log in. So I get that credential. Now the reason I'm copying here is because I don't see what is written here, and it's being covered by this guy. So I can't expand it. So I need to copy it and then paste it somewhere else. So I can copy out this part, which is the important part I really need. Then I'll just I'll log out here, paste the new one and authorize. Then let me collapse the login, and then I'll come back here and execute. Now you see, so it now works. So at the end of the day, we've protected that route. Now let me log out. Let me log out and then try to come and query the same route again. So this route to get a list of orders, execute. See, not authenticated. My detail is not authenticated. That's because there is no bearer token, and it's this is automatic. So it's sending a 401. But once you put a valid token, you click authorize, then you come back here to execute. It should now show you results. So with that, we've been able to so now what you can do, you can implement login, and then you can also protect your route with what I've done so far. So let me come back here to explain, because I'm sure a lot of people did not follow perfectly on what I did. Okay, so first, JOS is a library, right? You saw that there are other libraries, and you can also try those other libraries. But then JOS is one of them, and then JOS is what is used to create and verify JSON Web Token, right? What we simply did is, when you logged in, right, after checking if the passwords match, of course, if the password doesn't match, we want to return invalid credit. Please, when you're checking if passwords don't match, you don't go and return passwords do not match. You're trying to tell them that that the user exists, but it's just the password that is not correct. So after that, we load our environment secret. Sorry, we load our auth token, which is the secret we want to use to create an auth token. So we then call jwt.encode. Now we encode, the sub is going to be the subject, which is going to be in string. It has to be in string. The email, of course. And now, apart from the sub, any other thing you're putting is totally up to you. How you want, if you want to put boolean or string, anything you want to put, it's totally up to you, right? Then the next argument you're going to give your encode is the secret, which is that long character that we put in our env, which is auth token. and then the algorithm is H. In fact, some people don't even like writing this algorithm directly here. Some people also put this algorithm in their ENV, then they call it from the ENV and use. So it it's up to you, right? Even if someone knows your algorithm, even if they know your algorithm, as far as they don't know your secret, right, then you're fine. But if you want to hide both, it's fine. So we create the token and then we send the token back to the user when the user is logging in. Fine and good. So we are done with that part. Now we want to protect a particular route, right? Then the route we chose to protect is the others route. Okay, now if you look, this is another part I didn't even explain. So we said print current user as current user. Now you see that current user, the sub is 8. Now the 8 there is in string, is no more in number, is in string, right? And it was required that the sub should be in string. So we have the sub as 8, the email to be okokjunior@gmail.com. You see, current user is this current user. That's because this this dependency has been able to extract the user and then give us the value that we are looking for. Okay. So we say current user current user should depend on this particular dependency that we're adding here. So before now, if you notice, if there is no current user, or if the token is wrong, once current user is called, an HTTP exception is being sent back if maybe things didn't go well. But if things actually went or go well at the end of the day, depends is going to assign the user to current user. Now, what we wrote here is what we are calling here, right? So we now say current user should depend on this bearer schema. I mean this bearer scheme. Now, bearer scheme is a scheme that allows you to enter the authorization token in your header. So now, if you notice, now let me take us back to the browser. Let me take us back to the browser. If you notice, at this point, when we are making the call, the header has authorization, then the authorization has bearer and the token. So even if you're using Postman, as far as you know how to assign the authorization token, like you have in the header, you put authorization like this, and then the authorization value is bearer and this token. You're good to go. It will still work. It will still work. And even in your JavaScript, in the header, you just write authorization colon, then bearer, then the token. You send the request, it will still work. So that so this is responsible. This HTTP bearer scheme is what is responsible for picking the value from that box that comes up for us to enter the token, right? But then when we are querying that particular route, right, that particular route that we query depends on get current user. That's the other route depends on get current user. Now, this get current user depends on this scheme. So this scheme is going to, this line of code right here is going to extract the HTTP, that's the authorization bearer token, is going to extract it from the request header. And when it extracts it from the request header, it is now going to give it to us as an object, as this, sorry, I say as an object, as a dictionary, right? Now, this dictionary is going to contain credentials, which is the actual token, and then the scheme is going to be bearer. Okay, so the scheme is bearer, the credential is the credential itself there, that's the token itself. Then we can now decide what we want to do. So you see, the scheme here, see scheme here as bearer, see the token here, see it as this particular C token here, as token. So then the value here, you see that the value comes as bearer, the value comes as a dictionary with scheme as bearer and credential as that token. So We can remove this part. We can also remove this entire part. Okay. So very simple. We've gotten these two. We can then start checking. Is the scheme bearer? Is the token empty? Is okay. So if the scheme is bearer, then the token is not empty. Then we can then proceed to get our secret. Then we now say payload that the token should be equals to token. So now what I was trying to do here was positional arguments. So positional arguments because I was thinking that I wasn't correct with the way I assign things, but everything was still correct. I could remove this token here. I could remove the key. So by default, the first value is the token, the second value is the key, then the third value is what you want it to be. So it could be algorithm, it could be, I don't know the default for the third value, but I choose to pass algorithm there, right? So then once the payload is decoded, I just want to, this one is more like a sanity check. If the secret is empty or if the payload was empty, of course, I don't think you would even be allowed to create an empty payload. But if peradventure you create an empty payload, no problem. We would check if the payload is there, the secret is there, then what we just need to do is we are returning the payload. Now the payload, remember, is the body of the token, right? That's the part that has to do with your sub and your email is what we are returning as the payload, and then that's what we are returning back to the caller of this dependency. So who is the caller of this dependency? This other route. So this other route called that dependency. The dependency did all its check and returned the user. So then that user that is being returned will be assigned as current user. And that current user, what we just did here was we just printed that current user. I can decide that, oh, I want to get that particular user. So I can now start writing the logic to look for that particular user by his sub. Or I can decide that I want to use that person's email, right, to do whatever I want to do. But mainly, what people mainly put in their token is the sub, which is the user's ID. They put in the role of that user, and then optionally you can put the email and the full name of that user. So in case you just maybe just want to use that to do anything. Now, the thing about this token is also that on the front end, most times, rather than saving the user's email and the user's maybe full name on the browser, you can always extract that from the token. So you just save the token on the browser and then you use a JWT library to decode the token. Then you get the email and the user and the full name, and then you just use it there, short and simple. So with that, I've been able to explain how you can secure or authenticate users on a particular route, right? You can authenticate users on a particular route. So if you want to maybe authenticate and maybe authenticate users for another route, I just need to write this same line of code, on the route I want to use, right? Then, of course, call the depends and call this get current user. So nothing would be null. So that's all I wanted to say. Does anybody have any questions so far? So in the absence of any question, I don't
Hello,
know,
sir.
someone,
Can I see the
yeah.
stuffs you imported from these today's classes? I want to see them.
Import or install?
Import, not install. I think we only installed only one stuff.
what we installed one
When
tool
you,
which is Git. That's
when you were explaining those stuff, when you were explaining it, you didn't, I didn't see then the rest of the stuff you imported in both the user, the order.
sorry, are you talking of which particular file are you talking about?
No, I'm just talking generally from the whole file. You imported
Okay, all right.
the user, I
So
just wanted to see the stuff.
okay, so first here, this is a new. Okay, this is not a new file, right? In the order, what I imported was I imported depends, right? That's in this order. I imported depends because I want to add a dependency, which is more like a guard, right? Here. So I use depends to do that. Then um the get current user is the function that I want depends to call. So depends is going to be called first. Then if depends calls this function and then the function returns what is expected, of course, current user will now be populated with what we need and then this function will be called. But if depends rejects um, the request that was sent, then of course this uh, um, controller, right, or the body of the controller, which is from here to here, will not be called. So I imported that. Then in this get current user, what I simply imported was um, I imported HTTP exception and depends. So HTTP exception so that I can throw exceptions, depends so that I can add a dependency to my get current user. Then there are HTTP and this HTTP authorization credentials so that I can be able to extract and use the HTTP bearer token that I'm going to put. Then JWT here, that's just for JWT, is used to decode. As you can see, we decode the token, right? Then this OS and .env is used to first load the env. So it will populate OS with the env, that's the environment variables that we need. And then we can then access those variables by using os.getEnv. Then we pass the name of the environment variable that we are looking for. So then all we did here was some checks and then we returned the payload. Then here, I think here is self-explanatory. What we just did was we encoded the sub and the email and then we basically what's happening here is we encoded the payload for the token we are creating. We also signed that token. That is why I'm passing the secret here. So we signed that token and then we are using this algorithm to create the token in general, right? So what we would then get back here as a result is the token, which is the JWT, which is this long string here that you're seeing, this long string here, right? That's the token, right? And then what we just did is we send this token back to the user. So now, if the user has responsibility to first pick this token and save it somewhere, so that if that user wants to send a request to others, for example, and you see that others is a locked path, right? Um it will send it here and then what did I say? It would send it here, right? Okay, yeah, it will send it here, and then if um the bearer token is correct, then of course this part is going to be called. If the bearer token is not correct, then it's not going to call this part. So I hope I've been able to explain it properly.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
Yes,
So is
I
there
have
any
a
other question?
question, not on
Okay, ask.
this. Are we going to learn about middlewares? A busy middle course?
Yeah, middleware are used generally if you want to intercept any request, basically. If you want to intercept any request, so not just request for a particular route that you add the depends on. Like if you want to, for example, if you want to add course, right? Course, cross origin request, with service, right? If you want to add course, right, that you want to maybe restrict restrict call from a particular website. So maybe no other website should be able to make calls to your backend except that particular website. You're using course. Then um, you can use middleware to do that. But then I would do it in a later class because time has already gone in our class. Um we've already exhausted the time we have today. So that would be in a subsequent class, probably in the next class.
Okay, what about stuff like token rotation, as is it refresh token, all those
Refresh
things?
token, access token. Yeah, so refresh token, access token is not that. Refresh token, access token will still come from depends. Like so your um, yeah, it's going to still come from depends. So what that concept, right? In access token, refresh token, when the access token expires, you just send the front end maybe a 401 or a 403 or something. Now the front end is going to send a refresh token to a it's going to send a refresh token to a particular route. So there's going to be another route for refresh token. Then that route is going to send a brand new access token and refresh token to the user. Then it's going to invalidate the former one. So what then the user does is when the user gets the new request token and access token, you now use the same access token to replay the former request that was sent. Then that former request would now be processed normally, and then that will go on until that particular access token expires. Then the circle goes on again. So we are going to do that also in
Okay,
another class.
okay, thank you. Is this thing really 18 weeks or still 12 weeks?
18 weeks.
Yep, 18 on the LMS.
Yes, so if you're adding plus the project phase, it is going to be up to 18 weeks. But if you're talking of only the weeks for trainings, that's the weeks to teach, right? That would be 12 weeks, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it might not, I'm not sure it might be exactly 18 weeks, it might be less, it might be 16 weeks or so. So that's it. Okay, so is there any other question?
I noticed another thing. I noticed that you mostly use the ENV for most of the folders that like the service we have and ENV and some other folders we're having ENV. I was
Yeah.
thinking that you were supposed to just use it for only that of the database.
No, so ENV is not only used for database. ENV is used for anything you want to hide from the user that is sensitive. So, for
Okay.
example, apart from your database, if you have something like maybe, example, paystack secret key, your paystack secret key is, or let's take, for example, your a secret key that was given to you by a service, right? You are to hide that secret key. So, which means even if someone comes to your repository, they shouldn't be able to see that secret key there. You get so you're supposed to hide it away from the users. But if you don't hide it, well, anybody that uses your secret key can actually maybe accept money on your behalf, or you can use your secret key to transfer money from you if you have activated that from your dashboard and the rest. So anything that has to do with secrets, right? You put it in your ENV, right? Okay. things like, for example, there is also file upload. I think one of our classes we are going to look at file upload too. So with file upload, when you upload, if you have secret keys and your secret keys are exposed, someone else can be using your server to upload files for free, and you'll be the one paying for it. So that's one of the reasons why you need to guard and hide your secret key. In fact, what some people do is some highly sensitive services, they delete their key maybe every 2 months and regenerate a new one, just in case someone maybe uses their service, or let's say their key maybe gets exposed on the internet. They know that okay, they've rotated it, so anybody that has that key, it would be invalid for them to use. So when you hear that people were hacked, probably it might be because someone was careless with maybe his PC or the credential that was given to him. Maybe you're working for a company and then someone borrows your laptop. You just give the person your laptop to use, and then the person, apart from using your laptop to do what he was supposed to do, copies your environment variable keys. Then the person has access to maybe your database or anything sensitive. Then you say you've been hacked. So, well, apart from not sending your ENV online, another thing you need to do is also guard your laptops and anything you have. More like treat it as your toothbrush. I don't think anybody here shares toothbrush with anybody. I never share my toothbrush with anybody. I can never do that. I prefer not to even brush than to share toothbrush with anybody. So you should guard your laptop, your phone, those two especially, as your um like your toothbrush. And if you feel that someone has gotten access to any of your private keys, you have to go and rotate it. So delete the former one, create a new one, and use it to replace. So that will be all. Is there any other question? Any other question? So in the absence of any more question, I would like to thank you guys for coming out for today's class, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you and bye-bye.